Are video game graphics plateauing? No way, I can hear you all saying. Otherwise, how can modern day video games keep getting more and more demanding each year? And why do companies like Nvidia and AMD keep making more and more powerful cards each year, if the games themselves don't really look any better? Of course graphics aren't plateauing, right? Now, let me explain myself. With each new generation of technology, game developers have more and more power to make their games look even better, with higher polygon counts, higher texture sizes, and better anti-aliasing procedures, not to mention the other slight but noticeable increases in graphics such as hairworks and tress effects. So no, objectively, video game graphics are not plateauing. But think subjectively for a moment. Does a game from January of 2012 look really that much worse than a game made in January of 2017? Of course, the graphics on the game from 2012 would be technically worse, but would the game really look any less appealing? Now Jared, I hear you saying, it isn't the graphics that's appealing, it's the art style, and I hear that a lot, but many don't really understand what that statement means. I like to think of art style like this analogy. If you were to take a look at BioShock Infinite, and then take a look at The Witcher 3, which game would you say has better graphics? The Witcher, of course, but in your opinion, which game looks more appealing? Most people would still say The Witcher, but there are those who do believe that BioShock Infinite looks just as good as The Witcher 3, and some who even say it looks better. That is the art style, the subjective look of a video game, or any visual form of art for that matter. Now, if there is one thing that emulating Twilight Princess has told me, it is that old games can look just as good as modern games, and that is true. The only thing holding back a PlayStation 1 or N64 game from looking current gen are two things, its polygon count and its texture size. If Ocarina of Time had better looking textures and a higher polygon count, then it could easily look just as good as a game released this year. I mean, Wind Waker and Twilight Princess HD were basically higher resolution versions of their GameCube and Wii counterparts. But that doesn't really prove that video game graphics are plateauing. You were just stating the obvious here, and yes, that is true, but I think that finally we have reached the point in gaming where games are starting to look too good to really improve on. Back in the late 2000s, you could easily realize that you were playing a video game by just getting close to a textured polygon and seeing the pixels on the low resolution textures, and that would completely shatter the immersion. Nowadays, however, that is a problem that is very nearly gone. Now don't get me wrong, we haven't yet reached the point where you can't see any pixels on a textured block, even if you are right up close to it. But that time will come soon enough. Eventually games are going to look so good that they can't look any better. Think of it like this. Would a game with a resolution of 19,200 by 10,800 look noticeably worse than a game with a resolution of 38,400 by 21,600? No, because they would be nearly indistinguishable from one another with the naked eye. Objectively, the latter would look worse, but subjectively, they would appear the same, and that is what I am talking about. Eventually, texture and polygon increases, or any increase, however much, will look indistinguishable to the eye. Finally, I'll show you a game that was released in November of 2008, Mirror's Edge 1. Compared with Battlefield 1, the obvious graphical winner is Battlefield 1, but subjectively, do either of these games look ugly? Do they look graphically unappealing? There has been a lot of graphical improvements in the nearly 10 years that separates these games, and yet neither of them look subjectively bad. Now think forward another 10 years, and ask yourself, would Battlefield 1 look graphically unappealing in 10 years? Would it be unplayable? And would even Mirror's Edge look graphically unappealing in another 10 years? I'll let you answer that question. But really, I think that in 10 years' time, if you were to play Battlefield 1 at 8K 144Hz, or whatever resolution is popular at that time, then it will look just as good as any game released around that time. But we will just have to wait to find out. Thanks for watching this video, guys.